what I mean? Because I'll be asking myself questions, but then I answer my questions. And it's not that I only ask myself questions that I can answer, but I start somewhere where I will be able to see where I would, where I'm gonna pop up at in my teleportations, right? But now, you can be safe to just go right out into space, and then from there you can just drop, and then as soon as you see somewhere safe to pop back up, then you can pop back up over there. But then from space you can pop, you can choose any planet. You know what I'm talking about? I mean, all I'm saying is, like, even if you pop up in the atmospherical, stratospherical sky within our ozone, you might get hit by a plane or some shit, or you might pop up inside a plane next to somebody or something. I mean, that's very, very freak. That'd be a very freak, rare occurrence, however, but it's possible. It's, it's more possible than if you would just be like, okay, well, shit, I'm gonna go right above the ozone. There's satellites out there, but that's like, what I'm saying? Because it's like you don't have eyes to see until you fuse back together, yo. Right? So you use your eyes, right? And then you decide, and then it's all that decision. It's like a synapse sort of just spark, and you already, dispersed into, mist. But you made that decision in your mind as to where your soul was gonna be at. You know what I mean? It's like you shot your soul somewhere, and then your molecular, physical structure followed. Right? But anyway, as far as answering questions, just being like, be able to work with what you have to get what you like. You have to use what you got to get what you want, basically. You start with what you do know to find out what it is that you don't know. And in the process, then what you thought you might have known becomes even much more apparent. And that's the point, as far as like just thinking, like that's the best activity, is to think. The best activity is to think. Even with thinking, right? Like, I'ma figure it out. It's no question that you can't answer in your mind. You just gotta have the time and spend the time that you have. Even if you don't have the time, when you make the decision in your heart, sincerely, the time is going to arrive. And not even just enough time, but time within time, and even more time, the time you put into the time that comes up. Like, every minute you spend towards that effort is going to open up an hour for every second of that minute. Now or later. Now or later. Or rather, now and later. Even if you ignore it, even if you deny it, refute it, every time you realize it. But first of all, it's happening even more times than you realize, especially if you've been ignoring it. But then in actualizing it, then you are able to see multiple different realizations and times that it's there. And it's also expanding another day for every hour that it already expanded, for every second of that first minute. Each time you don't ignore it, yo. You dig? I'm telling you the truth. And it's like, that's what we made to do. When you think about, like, what are we here to do? We're here to think, my nigga. At least firstly. And if you're not thinking, then you're not even really doing anything. Because even in thinking, yo, Because even in thinking, yo, that's an action in itself, right? But even in all that we are doing, we're going to come back to thinking at one point. You can do all you can do without having to do. You can do all you can do to keep from thinking. It's eventually you're gonna get a flood of thoughts. You gonna get a thought gonna hit you after one. The thought gonna hit you after the next one after the next. Yeah, and if you can survive it, then it's like, you know, you can go back to not thinking if you want, but you're always gonna return to those thoughts. And the more you don't like own it, the more you don't structure it, the more you don't itemize it. I guess you could say like optimize your thinking. Then it starts to work against you. The thinking you're not doing. You know what I mean? I'm never not thinking, but people, you know, nowadays, fools be wanting you to think about what they think you should think about, or see things the way that it's obvious, or that you have to in order to survive, or you have to in order to, you know, protect yourself or protect your interests, or, you know, or take advantage of your opportunities. And it's like, yo, man, I'm a manifester, my nigga. Like, I'm a manifester, you know, like, you know what I mean? If it's something that I want, then I'm a focus on that. Even after it happened, and I'm gonna focus on not just keeping, I'm gonna focus on feeding it. I'm gonna focus on building it. I'm gonna focus on growing within it, because through thinking and through learning, and that's what another thing about reading, another the other action of thinking is reading. Because see, like, even in thinking, you're referring to your words, you're referring to how you understand your thoughts through terminologies and languages in your own mind. Now, you don't have to learn like 17 syllable words in order to understand your own thoughts. But as far as the facts of life in the current moment, in the modern world, as far as to be most effective in these particular genres and industries, as far as, like, you know what I mean, just the widespread sort of function of these different ideas that you come up with, because they are personal, but you are not even just one person. You are not only even just one person, in that you are anyone to begin with. Because see, first of all, we all here together. Secondly, everything you think, everything you do, everything you don't do, everything you don't think affects everyone else, towards the better, towards the worse, and both at the same time. Even in the worst, it still affects them in the worst, in the best, in one way or not. It's just one of the way they spend, you know, their relatability. And it's not even a conscious effort. It's something that you could try to do. It's just happening automatically. It's just something you have to try to move with. It's something that you move with, you know, and you actively move better when you kind of are able to see where you're going. And through reading, I'm not talking about like novels or poetry, which poetry is beautiful and sexy and all that extra shit too. And it's kind of like, you know, kind of put you in a little, you know what I mean, sort of eclectic little flavor, you know, feng shui or whatever. I'm talking about nonfiction. I'm talking about, you know, knowledge as far as like history. You know what I mean? You got to know what all happened so that you can kind of like respond conscientiously. You can respond sort of, you know, knowledgeably as well as, you know, thoughtfully. You can't have a thought about something that you don't even know about, you know what I mean? So you can have thoughts that relate to it, but it's like you want to be able to articulate how your thoughts relate to the different things that other people are thinking about, right? And see, that's the whole thing about reading. You're not going to find nothing that's written that does not relate to something others would be thinking about, right? And so that's the idea with just like conventional reading, or, as far as like, I don't know what the word for it is, as far as like what's important to know. I want to say facts, but like I said, facts change, and sometimes facts are fabricated. They say this is this, or, like this happened in this political sense, but it was just really just the propaganda, really, honestly. And the fact of the matter is that it was propaganda, but you reading about it as if it was actually like, like it really happened the way that it was made to seem like it happened. But if you don't even know about how it was made to seem it happened, then you can't even really relate when you are able to uncover how you can say for yourself and prove to yourself that it was propaganda. Or even if you can't prove it, you'll be able to reference what you think about it, whether or not or so. You know what I mean? And it's like, it's not a lot. And it was fucked up. It's like, it's a lot of stuff to actually get up on and to become abreast in regards. But that's just it comes down to how you structure your researching. It's not about how much reading you're doing or that you are reading, but what it is that you are reading and why. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what's your motive for reading it? Do you want to, it's like, is it a self-help book? Is it like, you know what I mean? Is it a popular sort of, you know what I'm saying? Is it popular in the market, in the reading market or whatever, to where you just want to, it's like something that a lot of other people have read, so you want to be able to have read it yourself, which is great, but that just takes that time to read. And if you got to be a fast ass reader, and still you got to be reading these other things that actually are speaking to the spirit, that are speaking on, abstract ideas, as opposed to just like already, coined sort of categories, or coined sort of just like falling under a particular context, so to speak. And it's interesting. It really is, because it's like you can kind of sense where someone is involving themselves just because that's what it is that they're into. But they're into it because it's like that's what pays their bills, or that's what brings them into contact with different involvements. That's what brings them into contact with different involvements, different walks of life, different, different, I guess you could say, experiences. But you can't stop there, man. You gotta see it all the way through. You gotta see it for what it is, and keep your mind open to what and how it relates to more things. And the more things you learn about, the broader your perspective becomes, is all. As far as thinking goes. Because when you think, and what I'm saying is, when you think, you begin to have questions as to what you are not clear on. Right? I ask myself, what's the best action? And just through formatting what I already had thought about on it, being that I was able to listen back to what I had thought about it. Say, for instance, I didn't write it down and read it again or perform it and learn it that way, learn how I feel or what my thoughts about it were through performing it later and regularly, because I'm gonna forget my thoughts. And that's why bitch ass niggas try to stay in a fucking, little hoe ass bubble and shit. Because it's easy, nigga. I'm not thinking about nothing more than once. Unless I need to, my nigga. I'm not thinking about nothing more than one time, homie. Unless I need to, yo. And if you haven't, and when you need to think about something, cuz, ain't nothing gonna stop you from being able to think about it, homie. So don't be mad at me, cuz I'm focused on what's significant, cuz. Beyond a description, cuz. Beyond, you feel me, an explanation, or, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, man. Like, when I write my shit, bruh, I stop at shit that's gonna be relevant regardless of what changes surrounding it. What's gonna be significant, what's gonna be essential, okay? To enrichment. And it's a universal appreciation as opposed to a specific understanding. You know what I mean? And I mean, that's just me. As far as like, I ask myself, right? What is the best action? And I didn't even really ask myself, I just said it like, that's something that I would want to. I feel like that is significant. I feel like that's important. Like that's intricately, you know what I mean, principle. That's an intricately principled question to have an answer for. And that is, what is the best action? Because I mean, we can do anything. There's no limits to what can be done. So, what are we doing? Exactly. Right? Well, shit. If we thought about it, man, imagine that. You feel me? If we all thought on our own about it, you know what I mean? Even just personally, let alone collectively and cooperatively, in our own private thoughts, we're keeping our mind open to the cooperative quality of what we can figure out for ourselves as to what the best fucking thing to do is, cuz that's very simple, my nigga. And it's no excuse for not doing that except for if you are intentionally fighting it. That's reality, cuz. Because there's way too many opportunities that come up in between coffees, cuz, in between comments, nigga. There's always that dead space and niggas be sitting around looking silly, trying to figure out something else to not do and shit. Like, when it's like, yo, we all have a purpose to begin with. We have a purpose for one, we have a destiny for one. For two, you feel me? We have the tools for three. We have each other for four. And for four, that's already more than enough. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's something we have to take into consideration. Like, what? It's like, are we just going to accept war? And then what? Like, you know what I mean? Even if I don't survive, if the next person don't survive, for those who would survive whatever said war, then what? You dig what I'm saying? You can't just be thinking about yourself. Like, I'm not just thinking about me. I'm a human just like any other human who would even survive whatever war was to pop off. Then what, my nigga? Well, right now is what, homie? I'ma think for then. Cause then we might have, it could happen to where we don't have to go through no war in order to have to then start thinking about what else other than war, nigga. Make most sense to me, and I ain't gotta think too hard for that. At least 10% of the time I'm thinking about how to survive and how to, you know what I mean, evade something that's inevitable unless you focus on changing it and you ain't, you know what I mean, directly fucking fighting the open window in order to change it towards what you desire deep in your soul. You feel me? You got your brother there, you got your mother there, you got your sister there, your cousin. You know what I'm saying? 1 hour out the day, man, y'all gonna have to trade hours, my nigga. You know, well, he in there meditating right now. You know what I'm saying? I got next. Or he out there with, not in there, but out there, because you're gonna need some sunlight. Ain't no thinking without the sun. That's reality. So, yeah, we be in the sun. The sun gonna talk to you. All right, that's my, you know what I mean? That's my good word. That's my insert. That's my insight. Like I said, when you think, you're gonna think of things, yes? And it's the best action, the first action, because it's nothing we can't do. That's the part, as far as what the best action is. So that's your own answer for that. There's a overall answer for mankind as to what the best thing for man, and that's really how I pose the question as to what's the best thing for all of us to be doing right now while we can still. Because it's nothing we can't do, but we got to be able to do some shit in order to do them things that we can do, or in order to do them things that there's no limit to doing. You know what I'm saying? And do them since we can. Since it's best, it's like we have a prerogative, right? You can choose not to accept what is for you. But for you to expect or to, for you to expect or to pursue something that's not for you is taken away from what is for you and is giving you something that is not for you at the same time. And that's a double negative. And in this case, double negative don't necessarily make a positive. You know what I mean? I mean, it can make a positive, but it's a temporary positive. It's a surface, empty positive. You know what I mean? I'm talking about lasting significance. I'm talking about lasting progress. I'm talking about lasting, steps. Steps in the right direction. You got to repeat. You know what I'm saying? Growth. I'm talking about evolution. I'm talking about, I'm just talking about natural. What's natural? I mean, what's proper? What's regular? What's, you know what I'm saying? It's very simple, but it's basic. You can't skip the basics. Thinking is basic. So, but we should be thinking more and more every day. Don't stop there with what's good enough to win an argument. What's good enough to make the most money on earth. Like, okay, so what? Like, okay, yeah, you done? You feel me? If there's hunger anywhere, then we ain't done. If there's poverty anywhere, then we ain't done. You know what I'm saying? If every man ain't free, my nigga, then we ain't done thinking, homie. So miss me with all that extra, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? I ain't trying to talk about none of that, honestly, homie. We can sit down and think together, though, because I'm going to tell you the truth I'm going to tell you another little secret right now. One time I was thinking, and I was right next to my mama. And this had been when I had been meditating. Well, I'll be meditating. I'm gonna never go long without meditating. Because I'm just a player like that. You know what I mean? I'm really woke. Like, I'm really like, you know what I mean? On, like, I'm really like all the way on. Like, I mean, I'm never off. Like, you know what I mean? Like power. Like, but one time, and this was unexpected, because I think my mom was trying to avoid it, because, you know what I mean, there's an element of fear within her, because she's sensible as well, and she's also a militant individual, to where it's like we get to a point where we get to, you know what I mean, we get on a roll, and we have momentum in these epiphanies and these solutionary sort of actions, these answered actions, these ideas that lead to the best action to take is going to involve, you feel me? Kill or be killed, to be honest. And it's like, for the future generation, just in the interest of reality, in the interest of knowledge, in the interest of evolution, in the interest of peace, freedom, in the interest of experience, abstract growth, abstract principles, in the interest of art, in the interest of life itself, to be realistic, you're going to have to do just that much more extra thinking to justify not doing what you keep coming back to. Now me, I passed all of that already. Me, I already figured, I've already thought about beyond what would be the most. First of all, I don't think that way. My mom is different though. You know what I mean? She's from a generation before me in Los Angeles streets, okay? My mama born in Los Angeles, all right? She's been in Los Angeles years before I was there. As I was growing, she still was in the jungles, still in Baldwin Hills, still on the east side, still in Watts, still in Compton, okay? So she's seen it, and she's not really on the whole, okay, protect your soul and, live, die faultless type shit. Like, she absolutely is. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, a part of her is like still on this whole little revolutionary type, you know what I mean? Type, by any means necessary, in the interest of all that is justice, okay? Justice is justice, my nigga. But it's like, you can't hold a person's children accountable for something that their parents did. And that's where you're at right now. Until they make that conscious decision. And what's fucked up about it is the system now has made it so diluted to where you're making that decision smaller and smaller every day, and just not thinking. And just not thinking you're making the decision to kill or to contribute to a machine that is killing motherfuckers. This is the reality. It's not why I think, but I don't need a reason to be thinking at this point, You feel me? I started in the celebration and appreciation of the truth. And that's the only reason. And the truth of the matter is that everyone deserves to be free. Everyone deserves peace of mind. That's the truth. Now, what am I gonna do about it? I could come up with my own idea, or I could sit and think and let the decision come to me. And that's what I do when I write my shits. Every time I put my pen to paper, and so I'm not guessing, I'm not sidestepping, I'm not questioning, I'm sessioning collectively, setting precedents. Now, it's not all up to me, and it's not all about me. But if it's not about me and you want to involve yourself, just know that I'm about mine. And we're not just talking about me. As I said already, I represent all of soul power, and it represents me. And it represents me. And we're not just talking about me. As I said already, I represent all of soul power, and it represents me. In the name of my ancestors and yours, because we all got the same ancestors. In the name of my ancestors and yours. This is reality. So when it comes to this one time, though, I was thinking, right next to my mama, which is my first direct ancestor, something special happened. I'll tell you about that another time. tell you about that another time. I'll tell you about that another time.